session, and we're going to begin here, and we'll have the other ones join in as we go along. All right. Well, welcome everybody. My name is Chen. I'm the CEO for Geoteaming, and you have logged into virtual team building. So in this session, we're really going to look forward to a couple of these key goals. But I'm actually going to start with is that these are the challenge with teams, and I know that we're in unique times right now. But something that is, at least, I've been in team building now for 23 years, based here in Seattle, Washington, but traveled around the world, is that the challenge with teams is something that hasn't changed, right? Whether we're online or offline, sometimes it adds new challenges, but the challenge with teams is pretty similar. So one of the key challenges that, as you're looking to work from home, is in communication. So these are some stats I kind of compiled from some research that I had. Only 5.9% of companies communicate their goals daily. 5.9%. This can make you, easily get into the top 94%, as if you just sent a daily email saying, these are the key goals that we're working on. These are the pieces that you might be looking for. So communication, as you can tell, two people now in a crisis, many people are over communicating, which is probably good to a certain degree. But communication is such a key piece of teamwork. The next thing is around collaboration, which is 39% of the people that were surveyed believe the people in their own organization don't collaborate enough. I've been doing team building for 23 years, and there have only been 9 teams out of 2,100 that I've worked with that can collaborate at the highest level, meaning that they scored the highest score possible in a simulation that I created. And so the other part too is that in the last 6 years, nobody has solved this simulation to the highest level. So I actually think companies and organizations are getting worse about collaborating rather than better. So I'm honored that you guys are here. I'm assuming that collaboration is one of your key goals. The next fact is around 97% of employees and oh, okay. This is from the Fury Group. Not able to hear anyone. Oh, it's just me talking right now. And so hopefully that is you, Chris. And you can also chat me in the window. So the fact here is 90% of employees and executives believe that the lack of alignment within a team impacts the outcome of a task or a project. And that's really key. With teams, if you are not aligned, all right, and not aligned on the goal, then it's very difficult for you to do that. And it's so much easier to be out of alignment online and when you're virtual. So this is why these are key things that I'm looking to help with. These are the challenges with teams now. So that's about alignment. Well, of course, the big challenge that's happening now is we're all working from home. So it's so great. At least I talked to some people. We have Victoria, we have Vancouver, we have Tennessee, we have Georgia. And so even in all these locations, work from home is being mandated. And so this is the new challenge that we're really looking to deal with. So my solution comes around virtual team building. And I've created maybe this is kind of how I feel about the situation, but the acronym is GRR, G-R-R-R, GRR. And the GRRR stands for, number one, this is my system for helping teams. Is like teams got to have have to have agreed upon goals. And again, when you're online, it's very easy to miscommunicate the goals or have people assume something else inside of the goals. But if you can align these goals, these are one of the first things that you need to work on. The second part is that teams need rules. And so with rules, what I'm looking for is that you are in a new environment, and so you need to create some new ground rules to be able to work effectively as a virtual team now that you are not in the face-to-face environment. So the first R is rules. The next one is rhythm. So I really believe that teams need to develop a rhythm. And online, you've had the world's biggest disruption, right, to date. And so if you're a leader inside your group, you need to help establish this rhythm for a group. The story I share is I actually, in my early days, I had a program called The Journey. It was a 9-month coaching program where 6 months in, we all attempted to summit Mount Rainier. We did many training hikes to Camp Muir, which is at 10,000 feet. And the first time we attempted the hike, it took 14 hours for 8 of us to gather and climb to 10,000 feet and come back. And that was because there was so many things that were out of rhythm. But by the time we had done this hike, this training hike 5 times, we completed the same hike in 5 hours. In 5 hours. And that's because we had found a rhythm. People knew to show up on time because otherwise everyone's waiting for you. When we'd hike for 60 minutes and you take a break for 10 and just repeat the pattern. And so they knew what to expect. And when you have that kind of rhythm, it really helps your teamwork, which leads us to the last R, right? This is results. Again, I'm a huge car fanatic. Last year I became the owner of a Porsche Boxster, and I've been watching all the F1 series on Netflix. And look what's happening here. This is when teamwork is working to its best. They're able to change tires, gas up a car in under 2 seconds when all that teamwork is operating at the high level. And that's what I really would love to see with your online teams. So I'm going to assume our goal here and your goals are to host a productive team meeting and to establish the best team practices online as you start to work with your groups online. So let me go on with this too. Chris, I'm going to re-chat this here since you're on here. Interesting that you're not getting audio on the phone, but there is a phone number to call in. And why don't you chat me and see if you can try any of those links somewhere else, and we can see if we can get some audio for you. Chris, if not, I do have this recorded and we can try again tomorrow. If you stay on or you want to come back in at 1 o'clock, we can test your connection. Okay, so here we go. We have the goal here. And now I'm going to teach you guys an initiative is called Go Ahead Caller. So one of the first things, again, in establishing rules is to look how we meet online. And so I've always had this dream of being a radio DJ. And I used to love it when people used to call into a radio station and it'd be like, hey, go ahead, Roger, right? And so this is called Go Ahead Caller. And this is a way to create air traffic control when you have so many people logged on. So it's going to look something like this. Oh yeah, so we're gonna have some rules here, and so what you're gonna do is we're gonna establish a speaking rule, right? If you're visual, you can raise your hand. If you're not visual, you can chat or you can unmute and say your name. I'm gonna acknowledge you, and then I'm gonna have you say your name, where you're calling from, and what something that you're looking for on this this online session today. So I'm gonna stop sharing. We can see everybody. So again, if you would like to introduce yourself, again, it's your name, where you're calling from, and something that you're looking to get out of today's session. If you're ready to go, again, you can either raise your hand, you can hit the chat window, or you can unmute. Okay, let's go to Roger.
Hi, everyone. I'm Roger Haskett from Engagement Unlimited. I'm in Vancouver, Canada. One of the things I'm looking to get out of this are just, actually, I want to get rules, I want to get goals, I want to get rhythm, and I want to get some results. So I'd like to get the GER.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much, Roger. Who would like to go next? Let's go to Mary.
Hi, I'm Mary. I work at the University of Washington, our beautiful cherry trees. And I love that you put the word rhythm. That is the key of what I've been missing. We're kind of clunking along. We don't have a rhythm.
Interesting. So Mary, how long have you been working from home now, or working online?
This is the second week.
Yeah. Can you give me an example of like being clunky, if you don't mind?
Well, I was on a meeting the last hour with 7 people, kind of emergency call. And so we didn't really know what our agenda was. We just knew what our big problem was. And we didn't really know what order to tackle things in. One person finally took over, but his idea was to type things into a shared Google Doc, and he's a really slow typer. So, but at least it gave us a format. So anyway, we just don't have our routines down and our rhythm down. Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, without a leadership inside of that, then again, you can see how easy it is for a group to get lost. So thank you for that concrete example. Okay, let's see who would like to go next. Let's go to Michael. Oh, Michael, you're on mute.
Yeah, unmute. There I go. Michael Haskett. If you guys don't notice, the guy 2 over is my brother. We're together for Engagement Unlimited. And I'm the general manager. He's the guy in the front of the audience. I'm the guy in the back of the audience. So what we do is we do presentations, and the whole world's changed for us because now Roger, our speaker, can't speak in front of people. So we're working on a brand new program, which John has helped us talk about. So that's what we're looking for, is some results.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Michael. I know our whole worlds have changed. Like, again, I posted on my blog 10 programs postponed or canceled, and it's a new world. It's a definitely new world. Thank you, Michael. Who would like to go next?
I can go. This is Kat. Oh,
Okay, I'm going to go to Kat and then to Rock. Go ahead, Kat.
Hi, I'm Kat Gregerson, and I'm based in Seattle. I work for state government, and the reason I'm here is wanting to find some activities and find some things, some ways to make our collaborative team sort of keep its connected collaborative state during this time. That's pretty difficult. So I know people are feeling kind of isolated, and as one of the leaders, I'd like to sort of try to work on that.
Excellent. Thank you, Kat. And I think I heard correctly. You're calling in from Indiana, correct?
From Seattle.
Oh, you're calling in from Seattle.
Yep.
Got it. I have you, I think, out on the list. Oh, WA.gov. Of course. That's right.
Yeah.
I saw that.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Kat. Thank you, of course, for the work you're doing here in Washington State. Let's go to Rock.
Okay, hi guys, I'm Rock Tyson. A hell of a name, I know. I live in Tbilisi, the Republic of Georgia, the little small country nestled over in between Russia, Armenia, and Azerbaijan and all that, right on the Black Sea. I'm one of these hard-hit trainers where everything is face-to-face. I'm used to being on a stage. I'm used to being in front of people all the time, and I'm finding I've been doing online training now only for this week. We just started on Monday. And although it's going okay, I'm having a hard time keeping the energy level up, keeping that interaction, that focus of the group, because they also have their own home problems. You know, they're all at home, dogs, cats, kids, all this shit, you know, it all comes around. So along with mine. And so my hope here is to get new ideas. I mean, to really grab people's attention so that they can stay focused on what we're talking about, the importance of every issue, and just being more engaged. I think that's the biggest thing, being more engaged online. People act differently when I can't, like, shake them. You know, it's harder. So that's why I'm here. That's what I'm hoping for.
Awesome. Thank you, Rock. Rock is actually in
Thank you.
Georgia, but he has actually served in the U.S. Army. And so I got a chance to talk with him for a few minutes when he logged in early. So thanks again, Rock. Teresa has found the raising hand button inside of the managed participants. It's like the secret, what do you call those? Easter eggs. So go ahead, Teresa.
Good afternoon, good morning, depending on where you are. My name is Teresa Little. I am based and work for McKinstry Company out of Seattle, but I decided to get out and come to my Tennessee home and do some work here for a few weeks. McKinstry has worked with Geoteaming in the past, and John, to do some very experiential activities. I know that is his specialty. And so I would love to see, I'm here to see that specialty done virtually, John. So kind of mimics and mocks what other people have already said, but looking for that engagement and those activities that can be brought to a virtual platform. I'm used to doing some virtual facilitation in a different platform, Adobe Connect.
Yes.
Seems like everyone's using Zoom now. So I'm also here to kind of check out this platform as well.
Yeah, a lot of the platforms have similar pieces inside of it, and that's what's great, is because you can adapt what we're doing to virtually any platform. So thank you so much, Teresa. Glad to see you, and glad that getting out of Seattle probably was a really good idea. Let's go to Britta.
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm in Seattle as well. So I work for the Teacher at Sea program, and part of my job is to send teachers to sea, but we're not doing that this year, as I'm sure you can all understand why. Like, we don't really want to send people to their own cruise ship experience, even though they're research vessels. It parallels, I'm sure the experience would parallel to what it's like to be on a cruise ship. But part of my job is also to bring all of our alumni together for professional development. So I've got teachers all across the United States. And we had a big 30th anniversary symposium, which John, you and I had talked about a couple months ago, where we were bringing all of our teachers together to celebrate 30 years of the program and then do some professional development. And now I have a bunch of teachers who are in different stages of their school districts being, closed for months at a time. We don't, nobody knows what's going on. If they aren't closed yet, they might be. And so I'm just trying to figure out how to virtually support them. And I don't think, we're still trying to figure out like, well, is this the right time to celebrate anything? And what do we do for our teachers who are trying to teach from home while having their own kids at home and managing those lessons? So I'm just here to listen and learn and try to figure out a way forward with all of the people I work with. And otherwise, I work from home normally, so I'm used to being a virtual worker, but this is a whole different ball wax.
Well, excellent. Thank you, Britta. I mean, it is hard to, when your core is to really bring people out to the ocean, and you can't really do that. And so, like, how can I bring that back in? As well as you have a teacher network across the nation. So look forward to trying to see if I can help that collection of teachers. Let's see. And I believe Chris hopefully now has audio. Chris or Christine?
I do have audio. Thank you for helping me out there. I don't know what happened. I've got, if you hear some background noise, I've got kids, cats, and a jackhammer working on the road outside my house. So if you haven't, anything could happen at this point. I'm Chris Nettles. I'm with the Fury Group in Seattle, Ground Zero, as it sounds like for the U.S. I'm here to see just basically how we can connect more with our team now that everybody's virtual. We're a public relations firm, and we have a 3-day work from home policy during normal times. So working from home is not an unknown to us. We're pretty well equipped to handle that. I think it's more of the mental state of people having to stay home and really not connecting at all in person for what is going to be weeks on end, it sounds like. So just here for ideas. We've done some things. We're doing cookie deliveries to our staff. We ordered some trophy cupcake, decorate your own cupcakes for some of our clients. I took a care package drove a care package over to one of our staff yesterday with some office supplies, a bottle of wine necessary for some people during this time, things like that. So we're trying our best to keep engaged. We had a virtual happy hour a couple days ago, but it would be great to have some fun team building type activities to kind of take people's mind off of these stressful times and have a little bit of fun.
Exactly. Yesterday on one of our happy hours, nobody really wanted to talk anymore now about coronavirus. And so we actually played a version, it's from the Jackbox series, and I think it's called Drawful. And so you can actually, I projected on the screen the board leaderboard, but from your phone or anything else, another device, you can log into their website. And we actually played the game interactively with each other, with people in Texas, simultaneously in Seattle. And it was hilarious. It was, everyone at the end of the session said it was the break that they really needed. So I also—
What's it called again?
I have to go look. I will actually put it in the chat. Oh, I'm going to send it to you in an email afterwards. I'm making a note right now. But it's from, I think it's the game company is Jackbox, and the website is jackbox.tv. And then it's a game that my kids actually gave me on Steam. The other one is Kahoot. So Kahoot, Kahoot, is a game platform. But I know I have a company experimenting with a format where they have a live MC running custom content, and you can actually play the game with up to 2,000 people. And that's what they're trying. They're an event company, so that's what they're trying to do right now with all the resources that they currently have. So unique items inside of there. Hold on one sec while I need to make a note. There we go. And I will put that inside of here, Jackbox and Kahoot. Okay, great. So thank you everybody for checking in. I believe that's everybody. And so let's see. So now you can see the first example of rules, right? We established some rules inside of here, and this is just the ability so that, you know, when we're face to face, we can easily have side conversations, and sometimes that can be useful, right? But most a lot of times the side conversations aren't possible. But here online, it's very difficult to have a side conversation auditorially, you know, because basically everyone hears it at the same level, and so that's why this here can really help create, you know, if you have this and established as a rule, it allows many people to collaborate while maximizing the time so people don't have to repeat themselves or you're not missing words or other types of things like that. So this is where the usefulness of go ahead caller comes around. Now, the next thing I'm going to teach here is, I know in profiles that I show up quite often as the ENTJ. That would make me an extrovert. I'm a persuader, probably one of the, I've forgotten disc, high D. When I'm not a presenter and I'm in somebody else's pieces, I'm looking for ways to express myself. A lot of times I have to think for myself out loud. And so one of the ways to do that is with the back channel. So I tell people and I inform them around the chat line that, you can use this to put other pieces of commentary. Like sometimes in meetings, there's a whole nother side conversation that's going in on the chat line while that's happening. So again, you can first show it to them. One of the things that I like to do too is as you move online is expose one tool at a time. So get this basic part, right? This face-to-face meeting, but now there's more features. Zoom and many other platforms have a lot of features. You want to introduce them one at a time and then show them, you know, the value for it. So you can also get a lot of creativity and engagement inside the chat window. So inside of the chat window, let me move back here, stop share, and let's go to the chat window. And what I'd like you to do in the chat window is either chat your LinkedIn profile, if you're okay with that, or your company's URL. So I know that you have the chat window and it's working for you. Christine, I hope you have access to a chat window. I know you called in.
I do.
Good. Teresa's there. I got Michael. There's Mary. There's Roger. Thank you, Roger. There's Cap. There's me. Rock doesn't have an updated LinkedIn or a company. Okay, that's cool. Thank you, Rock. Britta. And Chris, hopefully you can chat something in the chat box. There you go. Oh, ferrygroup.com. Yeah, business saving business. I mean, the fear. What I was going to add is that I know Christine's boss. We were both members of Entrepreneurs Organization, and they specialize in PR, especially crisis communication. Imagine that. So they're a little bit in high demand in Seattle, but they have created something very unique. The businessSavingBusiness.com. They're getting stories with their PR skills. They're getting them, you know, small businesses. Resources, and actually in yesterday's call we had a Washington small business liaison, and so he pointed me to a website that I didn't even know about, and I introduced them to the Fury Group, and Aaron got him on a podcast today. So that was incredible to see great things working like that. Okay, so now good, you see the chat window. So now let's move on to this piece. Okay, so this is Backchannel Chat. So again, feel free to use the back channel at any time. You can ask me questions. You can have side conversations with other people. This gets a chance to people to do that. All I know too is, I mean, I've gone into other people's meetings, and even though they didn't establish this, I start chatting in the window to see who will reply. And quite often, like, I get to meet other people while doing that. And usually while someone's presenting, I stay completely engaged, because the chat sometimes actually is more engaging than the speaker, sorry. But but it's fun, and I actually use it for networking, right? And it's actually hard to do. Like when you're live, it's kind of hard to, you know, talk during that without, you know, without disrupting the speaker. But here online, you can do that, and you can form a whole new relationship if you look at the back channel. So now on the team building portion of this program, we're going to be able to do this. So the assignment here, all right, is that we're actually going to do a team building initiative. So again, I'm going to ask you to play patient, which is I want you to be the person inside doing the team building exercise, but I also want you to be the doctor. And what I mean by that is I want you to look at the dynamics that are going on, and hopefully you can share your insights after this initiative is done. So we're going to go to the chat window here in just a second. And the goal is for you guys as a team to chat from A to Z. You can only do one letter at a time, so you can't go A, B, C, D, right, and hit return. You can't chat twice. So if Rock goes, right, Rock can't go again, right? It has to be someone else like Teresa or Britta. If you must restart if you missed a letter or you repeated a letter. So if it goes A, B, or A, B, C, D, F, right, you have to restart. While you're chatting A through Z, you can't talk. But if you missed a letter, you can talk until someone chats A to start again. In other words, you can use that ability to talk until the group restarts. So first, are there any questions?
Yeah, I do. So just to clarify, we're writing chats that start with that letter?
You're just gonna chat A, B, C, right? So like here, I'll give an example in the chat window. It's like if I started this, by the way, I won't be
we're
chatting.
Just doing a letter, okay.
Yeah, just a single letter.
Got it, got it.
Okay, just any other questions? Thank you, Roger. Okay, if there are no questions, then we will begin.
Oh. So
Roger and Chris have both hit B, so you have to restart.
Okay.
Teresa and Chris have gone again to restart. Mary and Teresa. We're going backwards. I love that, Rock to Britta. Thank you. You'll have to restart, Chris, though, because nobody started with A.
So we have to restart.
A to C, so you'll have to restart again.
So this is rhythm. We can talk in between, right?
In between, right, yes.
So we need a rhythm here, people, right? We need a rhythm. So it should be like, you know.
Maybe we go by our pictures before we start again, like, I don't know.
If our pictures are in the same order.
Oh, you want to
Let's try it.
Strategy.
Here we go.
Wants to do C.
My fault.
That's okay, because I don't think our pictures are in the same order.
I don't think they are. I don't think they are.
I don't think they are either.
Okay, so we can start again.
Any other ideas?
Who let the dogs out?
So when I was in acting school, we had an exercise just like this where you had to talk 1 to 10 without just standing in a circle. And the trick was to feel, like look at people when they were gonna do stuff. But that's harder here, right? So yeah, I know, totally. What Mary said. Okay.
So can someone be the announcer and say, okay, next up is C?
No.
Because you can't talk while you're chatting.
While you're.
Mary, remember you're muted.
We had a double D. Don't we have to go back to the start?
Yes.
Oh, we do. We do, but we are doing better. I think the visual certainly helps.
What if we go by last name or first name? Alphabetically.
We can do that.
Was that Christine?
As Kat.
That was Kat. Thank you, Kat.
Okay, let's do alphabetically. And Michael, you go before me on H.
Oh, you don't know my last name.
Alphabetical by first name or last name? I say first name.
First name. Good. Good choice.
Okay.
First name.
Who's first? B.
Britta, you want to give us the A?
Oh, we're starting again, I think, right?
Yeah, we have
Yes.
to start over.
Oh, Christine. Can Christine do it? Rock.
Is it me?
Oh, I thought her video froze.
Oh.
Woo! Yeah! Oh my goodness.
Wow.
That was ridiculously challenging.
You guys are awesome, right? You actually developed some systems that nobody has yet, and the other calls have developed. So what was that like for you now? I told you to play, doctor. So now observing, or even your patient as experience, what is this like as being one of the participants in this?
First of all, it was super stressful. Like it was ridiculously stressful, right? Like it was way more stressful than it should have been.
Why, well, before we go on to that, Roger, why do you think it was more than it should have been?
Okay, well, because we're on this online and our ability to communicate is so limited compared to if we were standing in a room together. So our stress level increases because our communication abilities decrease.
Interesting. Yeah.
Write that down.
Yeah, and I think that's what this is what this initiative, although it's deceptively simple, it is challenging because of that, right? Because you're not getting all this other information. You see this smaller square, and so that's a key insight, and that's why the ability to bring some order or something of certainty inside of this helps reduce that stress, and that allows your team members to perform. What else did people experience?
I found it less
I think it
stressful
was-
if you're not on video.
And why was that for you, Christine?
Because I didn't fully understand the rules, so I just sat back and watched for a little while, and then I got it, and I didn't have to profess that I didn't understand the rules, although I'm sharing that now.
So this is really key too. I mean, sometimes you need to focus. So sometimes, there are so many distractions now too with virtual teamwork, right? You could also have email going on. You could also getting another breaking news thing, or you could have your boss drop something on you. And you need to know that about this virtual environment. While it has its benefits, it also has a lot of distractions. And so, but you can also see, hopefully, the engagement for that 4 minutes there was incredibly high. What else did people see or notice?
I think when we decided to go alphabetical, the participant list isn't listed alphabetically.
Yes.
And so I kept trying to figure out wait, what? And I wanted to write it down, but then I knew you guys were looking at me. But once I figured out that I was to go after Teresa, then it was fine. But I just couldn't pause for a moment and figure it out. And my dog jumped on the table while we were doing it.
And we also had another challenge because Britta froze for a while, right?
Yeah. Right.
Oh. I don't know.
Well, we saw you frozen.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if she was frozen or not. So Britta, they were looping around, and I'm not sure if you missed the cue that you were looping around, or if your video actually froze, or.
I think it froze.
Well, I didn't. When people were pointing and doing stuff, I didn't really understand what the pointing was, because we don't see each other in the same order on screen. So if somebody is pointing up, I might not be up.
Yeah.
My picture might not be above yours in my world. So right now I'm pointing at Rock and he was pointing at me, but is that what you saw, Rock?
No, I'm actually pointed at Michael right now.
I'm pointing
We're
at
pointing at each other.
Oh, so here, wait.
So I didn't really understand the pointing.
So number one around this, Britta, it's really interesting too with this is that it's as somebody who you're a leader and you give a dynamic, right? And you think everybody understands it. You see how easily it can be misinterpreted here. So I do believe the pointing actually was not even supposed to be pointing at somebody. It was supposed to be pointing at the keyboard, which you can't see, right? And so they were trying to give the signal I'm going to go next, right? So that's the funny part around that. But the other complete sidebar from this is the order. We made an assumption, right? You guys made an assumption at the beginning that the order is the same, and it's not true. You have to actually disassemble that, and going, oh, it's not. But I will tell you the very funny thing now. If you take a minute here for the next 20 seconds, look in all the different directions. So just look left, right, look up, look down, look diagonal, look diagonal. And for those of you who are an 80s child like I am, you just now recreated the opening scene from Brady Bunch.
Yeah.
Okay, so closing this up, what else did you learn? Is there anything now that you kind of learned about virtual teamwork from this exercise?
Well, for me, the rules, because if you don't know the rules, you can't participate. And it reminded me of the old radio phones. When you were talking on the phone, you said over and you waited and the other person talked. And then when they were done, they acknowledged that they were done. And it's happening right now on our cell phones. Today, I've had 3 calls where there's a real delay, just like the freezing on the internet.
Yeah.
So you're talking and then they start talking and then you talk on top of their talking and all of a sudden nothing's being done because you can't verbally see the person or you can't visually see the person. So it was almost to the point that we were actually back to the point of saying over to finish the communication. So rules, as you know, your rules are extremely important.
Excellent. Thank you, Michael. Who else? Anybody else have any other observations?
I would just say, as the participant, I enjoyed. It was exactly what I needed at this time of the day for that extra energy. And I started pretty much thinking we were never going to be able to get it done. And to hear we got it done in 4 minutes was actually, it's surprising, and I'm proud of us. So good job. And then as the this is exactly why I came for these type of activities. And these are the same type of activities I feel like I would do in person, where it's like where we know that they're not going to spend the time planning up front, and then they have to iterate these aha moments, and the aha moments and reflection to that learning. So to see that it can be recreated in this virtual experience with a little bit more boundaries, with maybe understanding the rules and understanding how important rhythm is, then it's good to see, and I'm thankful for it, and excited to think how I design more in that space.
Excellent. Thank you, Teresa. Go ahead, Roger.
One of the things that I found really interesting was how such a simple activity became so complicated through this system, and that it really challenged me. Like my frustration level sort of increased, going, "Come on, this is so simple." And then so to me, this is an awesome exercise to be using at the beginning of a Zoom meeting, where you're going, okay, let's just recognize some of the challenges we're having in what our new world is. And this is a great way, a fun way to drive that learning into people, to go, yeah, this is our ability, just like Michael said, our ability to communicate has advanced so much, and now we're sort of retreating back to more secure communication so that we can actually talk as opposed to talk over each other.
Perfect. Yeah. Thank you so much, Michael and Roger. The rules, you go back to those, right? I do it too. Like I have the military alphabet almost memorized, which is sometimes when we're on the phone and we're having to communicate that kind of information, I revert back to that, so that, there are different forms of clear communication that you can have to make sure that you understand. And to Teresa's point, this is why I do this, is like, it's amazing if you watch the engagement as it gets closer to Z gets higher and higher, right? And then a team can actually feel success. This is actually really important. I think it goes back to what people were talking about before, which is people are having to worry about their team's morale right now, right? It's very easy for team morale to go down, right? And exercises like this can help engage people. And again, it's not about your work, so that's also not loaded, so it's a little bit safer to screw up, right? But then to recognize and then really have that aha moment. So for those of you who are facilitators, the simple examples around this is a friend gave this to me. It's like a what, so what, and now what, right? So it's a WWW is how I remember it. And then it allows you to ask questions like, what happened for you, right? So what did that mean to you? And most importantly, what are you going to do different, right? What are you going to do different going forward with your groups? And I think that's really one of the keys here. It's so funny. I was talking to Rock at the beginning of this, and as an educator, like I had to cut half of the content, right? I had this much content I want to give, and I cut it in half so it'll fit in 60 minutes. And that's really one of the things that you have to think about, especially in the early stages. Until you build that rhythm, you can actually, get exponential more work later, but you can't do it without this foundation of building, your goals, your rules, your rhythm. And that's when you really need to see results. And again, you got to get that empathy back, knowing that everybody's in a new environment, whether or not you've been online or not before this. Being online, helps you give an advantage, but we've never been online this much, like all day. And you have to remember even the smallest of practices, right? Remember to drink water, right? Find ways to give yourself breaks. Like I have to remember to eat sometimes because I have calls now, so back to back. And you got to remember that self-care is so important. I really actually put that out there. I actually went to a meeting professional conference. They actually still held it earlier last week before they shut everything down. And I reminded people, like, especially meeting professionals, they're under so much stress right now that I told them, I said, look, you're under stress that you've never experienced before, and to remember that mental stress that is there, so you can take care of your mental health. These are people who I can tell, like, if you tell Rock at the beginning of this meeting, what I got when he introduced what he's working on, he's really passionate around the work that he does and the people that he helps, and that's what he's here to do. Meeting planners are just like that too. And when you cancel meetings, I mean, sometimes it's like taking away somebody's baby, you know, as a metaphor. Those are things they've heavily invested in, and they have to watch them all kind of, you know, dissipate inside of that. So you should be aware of your team's mental stress, whatever it might be. What's the minimum or maximum number of people you recommend doing this activity, says Teresa. Thank you so much for the question. Probably the minimum is 3 or 4. I mean, you can actually do 2. But although they create a quick system, which is they just alternate. Yeah. And we've had as many already now as 9, 10, and 11 and 12. And it is, you got to create a system outside of that. Around that. If you want some, Teresa, you want some insights from this, though, is what we've seen with most groups. Alphabetical is actually turning out to be one of the highest rated pieces around there. People have tried to do visual, and they find that that doesn't work. I don't know. I'll tell you the funniest story that happened with it. The first time we ran it, somebody before the letter before W, I guess it was U, the person, they were getting close to the end, all that tension was rising there. You get to U and somebody put X, right? And we're like, they ruined the whole thing, right? And I'm just like, oh my gosh. So we were debriefing, and I'm like, so what was the deal with the X? He goes, I just like X. X is my favorite letter. She got so fixated on that, and it gave great example of like how your focus can change, and you know, because she had a preference for it, you know, it unfortunately challenged the teamwork, but how you have to stay focused not only on what you think is important, but what's important for your team. So let's we're actually getting to the stage to close up this call. So let me do a couple more things here.
I would say that the pressure is real though too, because, and that kind of drives home the like the teamwork and that type of mentality. Like we all need each other to succeed.
Yeah.
So using it to really hone in on that objective of highlighting teamwork. Because when it came down and it's through the letter, I was like, A, B, C, D, E. I wanted to make sure that I put was the right one, because I was not going to be the one to mess up. So yeah.
So Rock lives in Georgia, and his significant other, Ketty, was on the call yesterday, and she's like, you know, English is a second language for her. So she had to go online on another browser going, oh my God, what is this American alphabet, right? You got to think about those factors too. You know, for those of us who do diversity and inclusion work, this is kind of like the new culture you got to be thinking about. Those who are online and used to it, and those who are new, right? Especially those who are new, you need to try to bring them along and kind of get them caught up with that and help them feel comfortable with that. So anyways, you can see here, rhythm is something that's really important. And when you have it, you can tell the difference with the group. By the way, you guys took about 3 minutes and 55 seconds to complete that A to Z that last time. So that was the rhythm you guys established. The rhythm that you can bring for your groups, start and end each meeting in the same way, right? Maybe it's a short check-in, right? Even though our check-in does take quite a bit of time, you can shorten it. Sometimes I used to, in my team meetings, I used to come in and say, you know, what emotion are you, you know, where are you at? And then say you're checked in. So I used to say, oh, I'm John Chen, today I'm sad, or today I'm angry, or today I'm happy, but now I'm checked in. And when you signify you're saying you're checked in, is saying, okay, now I'm completely here in this meeting, right? As opposed to like being distracted by other things like that. So find ways to start and end the meetings the same way, right? Find a rhythm for sharing and solving information. So this is really important, I think, for Mary, right? So you can now have a pre-meeting, which is talk to, you know, maybe the leader who has this Google Doc, but see if you can work with this person to establish a rhythm that you think the group can buy in. Then suggest it and make sure the group buys into it, or at least buys into the point that they're going to try it, and that let them know, you know, if it's not working for you, hit the chat window, we'll hit the brakes for a second and establish a new rhythm. Bring your culture online. And what I mean by this is these things work for me. This is how, if you know, with my teammates, I work, and they know we have things like culture. Like if you ever hear one of my teammates say, so what I think I heard you say is, that's actually part of our company culture. That's something we know that the other person may or may not heard correctly. And so they are checking to see if they are getting the information correctly. And so that might be, you know, you have to think about what your culture is and then how you can bring it online to be effective. And if your culture is not working online, make new culture, right? I got the chance to visit Zappos last year, and it was incredible. That's like the place that has created culture. And, you know, we really have a cool place to invent culture. You know, dance breaks, who knows what it is, right? And everyone wears a funny hat to the next meeting. You know, those are things that can really kind of bring new culture around that. I mean, we all make fun of like being able to facilitate in pajamas. Why don't you wear pajamas? Actually, I did. I wore a Seahawks onesie to one of my happy hours because it's not a business thing. It's more fun, and people cracked up. It was hilarious. But that's the rhythm that you can create. Now, the last piece I'm going to show you is something you haven't been seeing the whole time. This is called a participation map. I'm bringing it online now. This is a map that has everybody's name as you logged in. This is as you checked in. These were notes that I took on how much you were talking or how much you were contributing at different times. This X's are the chat windows. And so this is something behind the scenes for you as a leader. It can help you identify patterns such as, let's just pretend Roger, whenever it happened, right? He just shut up the whole meeting, right? And as you can see, I would see that as a pattern on the screen, right? This is what allowed me to make sure when we were doing check-ins that I went to Christine and made sure her audio was working, because you know, I'm going through the list, so I can go through this. I'm going to send you guys this participation map. This is something I developed actually 20 years ago. I was working teleconferences, telecoms that were learning for Boeing, which is kind of funny, but it was Boeing. But they moved a manager class online, and when I was a facilitator for the course, and it was all teleconference. This is where go ahead caller, everything is verbal. That really was important. So Rock would have to say his name, Rock. And I said, okay, go ahead, Rock. You know, if Rock and Roger say at the same time, I have to figure out how to do our traffic control. But this participation map really helped me identify patterns of people who are talking too much or talking too little, and how I, as a facilitator, oh, look at this. See, like actually, I don't have some marks here for Mary. Mary's been on mute for quite a while. And this would allow me to, you know, make sure and check in with Mary. And she, you know, the other thing I teach people too is, you know, I'm going to check around with everybody. If you have no more comments though, just say pass. So the, you know, introverted or people who have nothing to add, they just say pass, but they know that I checked in with them. I'm not purposely ignoring them. This participation map is one of the most valuable things if you are a planner for these calls. And so again, I'm going to send you the version that I use for this call. There's lots of different ways to use it. There's actually other software. Someone actually showed me that there's a piece of Apple software that has meetings that helps you log the engagements on there and sees patterns and connections even more. And so it's a $10 app. I haven't tried it yet, but I'll let you know if it's any good. So that's a participation map. Go ahead, Mary.
I have a question, John.
Yeah.
Actually, I was talking away, but I didn't realize that I was muted. So, beside the point. But do you have a second screen? Because you're typing into that map, right?
Oh, yeah. You want help, right? I'm not even suggesting 2 screens now. You should get a maximum amount of real estate. What you don't see in my office right now is 3 screens. They are 3 large 27-inch screens. So I've got one here in the middle, one on the left, and one on the right. So when you see me looking off to the left, that's what I was doing. I was typing inside this spreadsheet. If you can have that screen space, it's really valuable. If you don't have that screen space, you can just print out a map. This is something for those of you who also write. You just put it down here, and I would you know, look down and I would make some notes as people are talking. So there's analog and digital versions of this. So really useful types of things. So most of all, again, you guys can see what happens when you get results. Again, you guys are at 3 minutes 55. I will let you know that you are better than the group. The previous group took 6 minutes and 50 seconds.
Woo!
But I also will tell you yesterday's team finished it in 1:45. So you guys have work to do, but but most importantly is that you got the point of the experience of what results look like and what it can look like for you and your business. So results, again, successful online meetings, the ability to get work done under these very challenging conditions. It's helpful. And you know, the key here, Mary, is like, you come like this, you can be even more of a leader for your group, right? Even if you're not the designated leader, those with online skills who are learning this can become leaders and really help the teams that they have in these times that are really challenging. And you know, you can develop new ways to help. So I'd love to see that. I'd love to hear about any of your success stories. So again, in the solutions, just going to reiterate what G and R stands for. Actually, I can test you guys. So we already know the G is for goals. What's the next R?
Rules.
Good, good. Let's see. Roger's got it. So not Roger. What's the next R?
We allowed to look at our notes?
I'm sorry. I think I heard it. Yes, of course you can look at your notes. This is like, I'm not testing you. I just want you guys to be effective. What was that? Go ahead, Mary. What's the next one?
Rhythm.
Yes, rhythm. Thank you so much. And what's the last R? Not Mary, not Roger.
Results.
Results. Excellent. So yeah, that's why I built this too. It's a simple system. This is just 4 stages so that it just really can make an immediate difference into your help. And we're talking about results, and I really want to share a result that's here from Seattle. So Canlis is a fine dining restaurant here in Seattle, and last week they redid their entire business model in literally a week. They released this last Thursday, right? And it feels like an eternity ago, the way how fast the feed and the things are doing. But this is what they did. They are a 4-star restaurant. They were featured in Top Chef Seattle, but they said times are changing and so are we. We're shutting down our dining room because fine dining is not what Seattle needs right now. Instead, this is one idea for safely creating jobs for our employees while serving as much of the city as possible. And so this is what they did. They built a bagel shed. You can drive through their restaurant and get bagel spreads, breakfast sandwiches, and coffee. At lunch, you can get, burger, veggie melts, salads, and ice cream. And last, but the kicker here is that they are making a home-cooked dinner. I think that's starting yesterday. I'll be curious to see how it was. And they'll take a bottle of wine to your doorstep, right? 4-star dining restaurant. Yesterday was the first day that they opened. They had a line around the block of people supporting them. The inverse is, we know a well-known Seattle restaurateur closed 12 of his 13 restaurants, in one day. But these are the 2 ideas around here. I give this to you as hope, right? If you are being challenged, there is hope to create innovative new solutions. And I think those who are going to survive the best are those who adapt. So that's virtual team buildings. We're coming to the end of our time. I only asked 2 things here. One is, if you got value from this, please help others and share this. It's virtualteambuilding.eventbrite.com. I actually, a lot of people, this person here, Jennifer Clifton, was one of my early people. She shared this on this library journal site, and my registration started exploding. And I started seeing all these libraries coming onto this, and I'm like, what happened? And finally, I looked it up. She goes, somebody posted it on Library Journal, and now this thing is actually getting all these hits. So I'm starting to get results too, and people sharing this out and helping get this information out. So if you can do that, I appreciate it. I still have sessions all the way through the end of March. I'm probably going to extend it. And the other part I'm going to ask is that if you need help with your teamwork and something more extensive than this, I'm going to send you a link. It goes direct to my calendar. You can book 30 minutes at any time to ask me about stuff that's going on. And then, again, we've had 10 canceled or postponed events. We're here to help you online. And so I have that time available for your work and your consulting. So I'm going to do the last word here. So this exercise is called the last word. And oh, Bridget's got to go. She's getting booted out of Zoom. Okay, so the last word is just this: we'll see who wants to go next, and just let me know what did you get out of this session. So whoever would like to go, let's go to Michael.
I'll start the rules. I love rules, and I love the fact that the rules were so important in this because we saw very clearly at the beginning how important that is. So rules all day long.
Oh, Roger, you're so smart to have this guy as your general manager, right? Excellent. Thank you so much, Michael. Who would like to go next?
I'll go.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Christine.
I would say I'm a rule follower too, so I really appreciate the rules, and I'm going to share many of these with staff. But it also got my creativity going and thinking about icebreakers that we do during staff meetings. For instance, we could have an icebreaker, 15-minute icebreaker every day where everybody gets online and just checks in and shares.
Outstanding. Thank you so much, Christine. And again, of course, I know you work for a not rule follower, so
Yeah, that's for sure.
Good luck with that every day. But if you would like me to help with any of the sessions at the Fury Group, I'd love to be able to help you guys out. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Who else would like to go?
I'll go ahead.
Let's go to Rock.
I'm not a rule follower, although I have rules. But what I really liked was that participation map. That's probably the greatest takeaway I just got. Only because it is kind of difficult sometimes when you have several people. Participation can be controlled by others. Some people are more active, and it gives me a way to kind of log in and look and see who can I pick on for the next time.
Yeah.
So I can get them involved, get them engaged, get them talking, so that they feel it's worth their time as well.
Exactly.
Because they're paying to be there, so they need to feel like they're getting something. Again, especially locked in home when they're bored to death and would probably rather be watching reruns of Gilligan's Island rather than me. So that's great. I love the participation map. Thank you so much, John. That's awesome.
You're welcome, Rock. Yeah, voluntold. I think Rock kind of got voluntold to attend the session, but
I did. I actually did. Yes, voluntold is exactly right. Yeah.
But the key here in engagement, man, you don't get instant engagement until the speaker calls your name and you're not paying attention. You're like, I'm sorry,
That's
I have
right.
no idea what's happening right now. And then they immediately pay attention because they don't want that to happen again. All right, let's go to Teresa.
I would say exactly what I hope to get was the experiential activity ideas. So thank you for that, John. Are more of those in your book?
Yes. And I'm actually going to send you a preview of the first 3 chapters that I'll actually give you about 15 of the 50.
And I have it, but it's just stuck in the office. It's like, so I might have to buy another copy to have it sitting home.
Check your library resources. Some digital copies. Some librarians are telling me that you can download or you can check out the digital version.
Okay,
For free.
great.
So they'll give you.
Will that be in the recap email you sent as
yes.
well?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. It's good to see you. You're gonna have to hop off and.
Okay. Cheers. Thanks again, Teresa.
Nice to meet everyone.
Either Kat or Roger is left.
I can go. I know you can't see me. So yeah, I think I got a number of things. So I really like the rhythm idea and just how you don't really notice your rhythms until they're disrupted, and sort of trying to establish new ones seems like a really positive step. And then also your book, I didn't know about that, John. So definitely check that out. And then also I'm going to definitely drive by that bagel shed. So.
Outstanding. You're going to see all these chat things going on, A to Z jokes going around viral. Excellent. Thank you so much. All right, Roger.
I thought it was amazing for a whole bunch of different reasons. 2 in particular for me, I liked how fun it was. I loved how fun it was. It was really fun. And when I looked at the time and I went, oh my goodness, 45 minutes has gone by. That's amazing. And that's amazing to do online. Secondly, I love just at the end when you talked about one of the things that we could be thinking about is becoming online leaders. And so to me, I started to think about training online leaders. And this is this is something that is clearly going to be needed moving forward very quickly. So I love the idea. And John, maybe you and I will talk about this in our meeting next.
Yeah.
John and I are working on a webinar in April called Digital Engagement Strategies. So the idea is how to create more engagement. But John's already, these are great ideas. So I think it was great, John.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Roger. Well, everybody, I'm getting closer. It's so funny. I thought I was ahead of track and now it's 107, but I really trying to get him down to the 60 minutes. But thank you all for joining in. I really hope that you got something out of it. Your recap email should come within 24 hours or so. It depends if I can get faster with it. And again, thank you so much. I still have some sessions open. So if there's others that please invite them. And again, I'm here to help you out. And I hope each of you are safe and stay healthy through this challenging times. And I'll see you online next time. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Thank you, John.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.